the smart speaker that said her name. At 3:02 a.m., the smart speaker in our bedroom lit its blue ring and said, in its agreeable theater usher voice, "Good night, Maya." I woke all at once, as if the sentence had been poured directly into my ear. The room was dark except for that small halo, the kind of light ships use to promise the shore to people who can't swim. Beside me, Maya made a sound she makes when she is sleeping and doesn't want to be blamed for it. A soft exhale, a half turn, the rustle of her hair on the pillow like pages being turned. I stared at the speaker until the blue dimmed, then reached for my phone and opened the app. The activity log blinked up at me. Routine "Good night, Maya" ran at 3:02 a.m. Lights off, thermostat down 2 degrees, white noise on low. The command source read voice, a small, indifferent verdict. We never named a routine that. Our shared bedtime request is lights, please. The speaker is obedient to plural. The words in the log looked like a ceiling stain in the shape of a country you've never visited but recognize anyway. In the beginning, we were ordinary miracles. Maya slept with her hand over my ribs, fingers splayed like she was collecting breath for later. I ironed pillowcases because flat cotton felt like a vow. She had a habit of tucking cold feet between my calves and humming against my shoulder until the room decided to be kind. We were good in kitchens and hallways, best at meeting halfway. If it rained at night, we opened the window an inch and let the city wash its face while we washed each other's. Drift speaks first in different languages, scent then sound. Her rosemary traded itself for something with a mineral base and a citrus top, the bottle throwing off a small, convincing arrogance. Her phone learned a 2-note chime at 12:07 and 12:11, a doorbell for a smaller house. "London," she said when I raised an eyebrow. "Their tomorrow keeps touching my today." She started showering in the dark. Migraine into steam. I learned to shave by memory, the mirror turning into a polite liar. After 3:02, I lay still with the animal certainty that if I moved, the truth would rearrange itself to stay just out of reach. When the white noise came on, it was the ocean loop she hates. She says it sounds like someone shushing a stranger. I slid the volume down, and the room returned to the hum of the refrigerator in the next life over. Maya rolled toward me, drowsy, and reached for my face with the accuracy of people who know topography in the dark. Her thumb brushed the corner of my mouth, and she smiled in her sleep, a gesture I used to think belonged to me. The speaker's log became a habit. "Good night, Maya" at 3:02. "Welcome home" at 1:16 with the living room lights up and music on low. Set mood lighting in the office at 4:17. The log showed a house practicing new roles without asking the leads. I told myself I was auditing, not accusing, but my stomach learned a tautness I only get when I'm watching someone carry glass in a crowd. We met at a gallery opening the year we learned to like white walls and wine poured by people who say plum like a favor. She stood in front of a painting where the perspective was wrong on purpose, a blue door facing a sun that couldn't possibly be there, and said, "He's convincing the room to believe a lie the light can't keep." I said, "Let's see if we're persuadable," because that was my currency then, neat phrases for complicated weather. Later, in my bed, she told me to stay still while she learned a map of my shoulder with her mouth. I obeyed like somebody who'd just learned the word devotion and couldn't pronounce it yet. The first proof came printed on thick paper that smelled faintly of the hotel bar. An itemized receipt slipped into the pocket of the black coat she only wears when she wants rooms to behave. 2 martinis with sea salt rims, a cheese plate described with adjectives, and a line that took me apart. "Do not disturb door hanger, lost fee." Harbor line, a glass building by the river with heat lamps pretending to be a sun. We had never stayed there together. The receipt was dated a Thursday we ate at home, when she said she was drowning in a pitch, And did we have any basil? Her mouth had tasted like limes when she kissed me good night. I didn't bring it up. I made a stew that took most of the afternoon, added salt because she always said more was a kind of charity, and set out the chipped bowls we pretend are heirlooms. She came in with wind in her hair and a hoodie that wasn't ours tied around her waist. She kissed me with accuracy and told me a story about a client who needed a new name and really wanted absolution. After dinner, she stood behind me at the sink and pressed her forehead to the space between my shoulders, the place that always worked like a switch. Her breath warmed through my shirt. I wanted to be simple. Instead, I watched the blue ring on the speaker across the room and tried to remember if the white noise had a script we could read. I went a harbor line only to confirm that the air smelled like I'd imagined. It did. Time and polite money. Under the glass roof vines did their best impression of summer. I sat at the bar and ordered the cheapest beer the bartender hated to serve. People behaved like they could be anyone and were making sure of it. A man touched a woman's wrist with rehearsed care. Someone laughed into someone else's collar. I paid and left before the elevator gave me a guess at floor numbers. The next morning the speaker announced at 9:12, "Starting good day, Maya," and turned on the lamp in the office we never use before noon. The script was detailed, blinds half open, acoustic focus, playlist, diffuser on. I turned off the routine with a sentence and the blue ring rolled its eye at me, obedient and aggrieved. I opened the app and stared at the entry until the letters separated from meaning, then recomposed themselves. I scrolled further back than I had been brave enough to go. The first "Good Night, Maya" appeared 3 months earlier, a Wednesday in August, 2:59 a.m. The night she came in smelling like the hotel I had not yet taught myself to hate. A lawyer's office sits over a cobbler's shop a few blocks from us. The waiting room smells like leather and old rain. "Outcome or scene?" she asked, and I heard a life divide cleanly in two. "Outcome," I said. She nodded. "We honor feelings, we lead with boring, dates, doors, dollars, screenshots if you have them, witnesses who love you. No essays by text, judges break out in hives." For witnesses, I chose people who know how to hold silence without turning it into a weapon. Her brother Ilya, who can be precise without being cruel. My friend Tam, who is allergic to theatrics and will still stand between you and a fire. I invited them for dinner and called it a menu test because parties are scaffolding. I cooked too much. The apartment smelled like onion telling the truth. At 8, Maya texted 15, which in our new mathematics is 30. At 8:25 she arrived with cheeks weathered by indoor heat and kissed me like we could still list our ingredients out loud. We ate. Laughter rehearsed kindness. After dessert, I set my phone on the table and opened the app. "What's that?" she asked as if the device were a stranger at a polite party. "Your house thinks you're wonderful," I said, and turned the screen so table light made the blue ring on the speaker jealous. The log showed the routine names stacked like receipts. "We should talk privately," she said. "We will," I said, "but I need witnesses that I didn't dream these sentences." Ilya looked at me the way he used to look at roofs he was climbing as a teenager, measuring angles, admiring courage, calculating consequences. Tam set down his glass and pressed his palms to the wood like gravity needed help. They left. The table learned a new quiet. Maya reached out and slid my phone toward her, scrolled and swallowed hard enough that I watched it travel down her throat. "I told myself it was a room," she said. "A place I visited when the house felt like a museum and I'd been hired as a docent. I liked not explaining. I liked the brand of myself I became there." She looked at me at last, not to argue but to admit. "Is he married?" I asked, because the plural matters in courts real and private. "Separating," she said. "A son, 6. I put my hands flat on the table so I wouldn't use them for something I'd regret and felt the wood give back heat like approval. Do you love him? The word sat between us like a witness with no oath to swear. She lifted her face to the one ceiling crack she always says looks like a map of a tiny country and then closed her eyes to it. I love who I am when I'm not narrating, she said. With you I started describing instead of doing. He let me be motion. You gave me structure. I chose wind. She opened her eyes. I loved us like infrastructure. I stopped looking up. We're going to separate, I told her. Though we did the work that I couldn't ask the eye to do without breaking its knees. She nodded, the hinge of her collarbones relaxing, the relief a treason I didn't have the energy to prosecute. Do you want me to go now? I want you to stop living in 2 rooms at once, I said. Pick. I'll take the other. She packed in under an hour because leaving only looks like magic if you haven't been rehearsing it alone. She took a sweater, a charger, the hoodie with a logo that belongs to a gym we never joined. She left the smart speaker. At the door she lifted her hand halfway to my wrist, the old code, thumb to thin skin, press and release, and decided not to land. It was the kindest and cruelest thing she could have done. I was happy, she said, and greedy and afraid, and I'm sorry. You were alive, I said. So am I. The sentence felt like a line we'd both forgotten to learn, and were relieved to finally speak. He wrote to me once through a corporate portal, the email wearing a tie. Respect and timing and request that we proceed as gentlemen, which is a noun I have never trusted. I forwarded the note to my lawyer and to Tam, who replied with 3 words that have become liturgy. Block, breathe, boil. I boiled water and let steam make the window write its own weather, then wiped it away with my forearm like an apology. The house learned my name again. The speaker shouted into a silence it no longer understood, then shut up when I told it to. The 2-note phantom sometimes chimed in my head and then didn't. I changed the Wi-Fi password to a sentence about bridges and motion. I ironed pillowcases badly and forgave the crease. I slept diagonally and woke in a bed that didn't need to be believed. Once, because the mind prefers circles to lines, I went back into the app and renamed every routine. Lights, please became stay. Good morning became begin again. Good night, Maya, I turned off, deleted, and then, on a petty impulse that made me laugh out loud for the first time in days, created a new routine and named it No More Lies. It did nothing but turn on the bedside lamp to its lowest setting at 10 p.m., a small light for reading. The blue ring glowed like a friend who wants to be better and doesn't know how yet. I opened a book and read the same sentence twice and let it mean 2 different, equally true things. The decree arrived on heavy paper that does its best impression of dignity. I folded it twice and slid it under the tray where the keys live. I put fresh sheets on the bed and smoothed them with my palms until heat rose. I opened the window and let February push its face in. The city breathed like it had been waiting for me to stop talking. I set the hotel receipt on the counter, looked at the paper until it lost its excuses, then dropped it in the recycling with last week's onions and yesterday's news. She texted on a Wednesday. People choose midweek when they want to be better without turning their lives into content. Thank you for not making me the worst thing I did. I stared at the words until my eyes watered from something less poetic than grief and typed. Thank you for not asking me to leave the light on in 2 rooms. She sent a picture of a rented place with a window square of sky and a plant leaning toward it like it had been told secrets. I sent her the river pretending to be silver again. We didn't flirt. We traded weather and then let the forecast be enough. Desire doesn't disappear, it edits itself. Some nights my body remembers the way she hooked her knee behind my thigh, the soft vowel she made when my mouth found the place breath becomes heat. Memory is accurate and unkind. I let it play until the chorus and then I pause. I make tea. The kettle's small scream feels like proof of life. I stand at the window while steam fogs the glass and write my name into it with a finger like a child. It drips and vanishes. The room remains. I still iron pillowcases on Sundays. It isn't piety, it's maintenance. I run by the river until my lungs believe me again. The basil on the sill wants too much and I forgive it because forgiveness is a plant with ridiculous roots. I set the smart speaker on the bookshelf between two novels and taught it to answer to a new name, home. When I say home, it plays rain sounds. Not the ocean loop she hated, but a soft battering that steals nothing. I let it run while I fall asleep, and if I wake at 3:02, I press my thumb to my wrist where the old code once landed and listen to the only message that matters. Here, here, here. The last time I saw Maya, the elevator did that obnoxious magic trick of opening on a past. She wore a coat the color of decisions. We said hello like neighbors. She asked about sleep. Better, I said. She adjusted her bag and didn't touch my wrist. I admired her restraint and then mine. The doors shut us away from each other with the competence good machines owe to bad nights. Some evenings I sit on the couch and tell the room begin again. The lamp obeys. The blue ring brightens its little halo. No meta, no theater, just a light warming a page, steam rising off a cup, the city getting on with its weather. In a different season, a different story, a smart speaker said her name for me. Now the house says mine without needing to be convinced. I set the book down, turn the lamp low, lie back, and feel the latch catch on the first try. Somewhere the river rehearses being silver. Somewhere a hotel lobby plants herbs under glass. Here, the routine I trust most repeats its simple lines. Lights, please. Good night. Stay.